Welcome to Pete Monfre Tells the Truth, where every Thursday at 11 a.m. Central we expose the underbelly of the marketing industry, and I share my hard-earned knowledge so that you can make better marketing decisions and avoid wasting money on marketing boondoggles that just don't work. I'm your not-so-humble host, Pete Monfre. I've been called the Simon Cowell of marketing, the great gray curmudgeon of marketing, and I've been featured in Inc. magazine, Forbes, and countless business journals and other publications. I've owned and operated a B2B marketing firm for 32 years, working with dozens of household name brands and many more up-and-coming and growing clients. So you can learn more about me and my company at my LinkedIn profile or heading over to claritymarketingsupport.com. Check out our blog where you'll find a lot more wisdom, and you can also subscribe to my podcasts at our channel on YouTube, and we'll give you those links down in the comments. But real quick, I'll tell you about my friend, Frank Gustafson. He's a Sandler sales trainer up in Fort Worth. I say up because I'm south of you, with Strategic Training Partners. And today we're talking about how people screw themselves. Welcome, Frank. Nice. I love the topic, how salespeople screw themselves. Boy, I hate to touch anything on my computer.
Don't touch anything.
Because, but here, let me go look at you gave me a nice list of things, and so I just want to pull them up on the screen. So, you know, if you're seeing this in your feed and you want to see it again sometime, really you just have to go to my profile under posts. You'll see it right there. We are tagging some of our friends. We are going to edit the post because I see no reason to advertise for Restream for no compensation. Especially since we actually pay for the service. That's nice.
And that's the truth.
And that's the truth. So listen, man, I consider you a mentor. I think we have a great friendship, and I am a Sandler guy, 15 years, all right? And so, you know, you're saying that salespeople have a reputation basically below congressmen, which seems statistically almost impossible, but it's true. And it's a lot sad, of their, you're saying, sad but true. It's sad because it's true. You're basically saying it's their own damn fault.
Yeah, I think they resent it, but they also many times represent it. So they give themselves something to resent.
Wow, and you rhymed. Will you be rhyming more?
You know,
on the program?
if I do, and it's a good thing, it'll be an accident.
Excellent, excellent. You know, I looked at this list, and you know, I think, and you mentioned it too, I think we all do these things, not building trust, not truly qualifying an opportunity, which I want to come back to that one. Taking maybe as a legit answer, or let me think about it. That's my favorite. Not willing to be able to take a no. I would almost push that even farther and say, not willing to go for the no. Like, that's a controversial thing. And that's one thing about Sandler that I think was one of your biggest barriers. And, you know, but Sandler's been around a long time, right? I think 1968, David Sandler.
Yeah. David
and so
Sandler
it's not,
kind of started this whole thing years and years, 50 years ago.
It isn't a fly-by-night thing, but it's hard to get across to people because it's the polar opposite of everything you probably think about sales if you're doing sales in a traditional way, which I think what I call traditional sales really has its roots back in the 50s. And even though there's been books like, and we've all read them, Spin Selling, Consultative Selling, there's too many to list. The Challenger Sale, one of my favorites to rag on the show, which is completely worthless. And all of that is actually rooted in a traditional type of sales process. And you mentioned it here, applying pressure, trying to convince or explain, sounding like salespeople, stupid closing tactics. That should be a bit we do on the show, like David Letterman did stupid human tricks, we do stupid closing tactics. Believing all you need is hustle to master sales. That it's really more art than science, and if you got a nice personality, you'll do good.
Yeah.
And I added one actually to yours, thinking it's a numbers game, which I hear all the time. It's just a numbers game,
Uh,
isn't it?
yeah.
Yes. So back to this qualifying.
Well, so
Truly, but
Pete,
because you said truly qualifying, so
yeah.
define that a little more for us.
Well, so first, let me just say, this list is not even close to being
No.
exhaustive. I mean, being a kind of a high D and waiting to the last minute to get everything done. I literally typed that list as I was sitting at my desk 15 minutes before we started doing this, and it was just the stuff that was top of mind. There's so many ways that we as salespeople stub our own toe and bloody our own nose, and then we get all upset about the fact that we didn't close the deal, or something didn't happen the way we wanted it to, and it's generally our own fault. And when prospects and customers treat us like just another vendor or a commodity, hey, it's a reputation that we earn. We've got to own that. And
Right.
if we want to be seen differently, then we've got to do something different.
Yeah.
And I believe that.
I think
So so ask me that question again. I kind of jumped in on you.
no, it's all right. That's good stuff. I think that, as we often say on this program rather arrogantly, you're doing it to yourself. You're doing it wrong. If you're getting that kind of vibe, you're a vendor, you're easily replaceable, it's all about price, you're probably doing it wrong. All right. I like to say screw the pooch, but my wife said, nah, don't make that a headline. But I can say it because it's live.
She's so wise. She's
I know
wise.
she makes sure the show works. She was waving her arms and my script was on there. I appreciate that. So I was saying, you say not just not qualifying an opportunity, not truly qualifying them. Tell me about that. That's very specific, by the way.
Well, I hearken back to my early days in sales. I just did the math on it. It's 36 years ago, and the way that I started, and the way that I believed most of my sales career was that everyone was a prospect, and why wouldn't they want to do business with me? I'm amazing. I represent a great product. I represent a great service. Why wouldn't they want to do business with me? And I would go in and I would shove my features and benefits down their throat, and they wouldn't buy. And that was about me. That was about me and my stuff. It wasn't about them and their problems, their issues, their pain, their stuff. And if we don't walk through a process to truly understand why a prospect might buy, then we're not qualifying the opportunity. I love what Jeffrey Gitomer says. People love to buy. They just hate to be sold to.
Yeah,
And I think that we just try to sell to people no matter what.
It implies you're sort of pushing something on folks. I just give me a second here. I'm just gonna put our technical difficulty screen up just for a second because I want to turn my notifications off so we don't get rudely interrupted. So just give me a second here. Instead of seeing all kinds of weird stuff on the podcast, we'll put our screen up, and I think you'll enjoy it. But hang on just a second. All right, we're back, and we turned the notifications off out of respect for Frank. So, I fell prey to this not qualifying many times, and especially, when I started selling, it was really me teaching myself. It was reading books. I did manage to build a multi-million-dollar marketing firm. That was before I kind of discovered Sandler, and so I would say, objectively, I was fairly good at it already at enterprise sales, right? But Sandler gave me a few tools, and one was the level of qualification that needs to be done as soon as possible, and sometimes we say getting to know as fast as possible. In other words, disqualifying people. And so it seems like almost every time a sales process really goes wrong, and especially when if we talk about it, we can always almost track it back to that we missed some part of the qualification. Whether it's, are they decision maker? Can they get to a decision maker? Do they have the budget? Do they have pain? Are they committed? Something we missed. Is that what you mean by truly, like really thoroughly?
Yeah. So if we don't understand the chasm between where they are today and where they want to go, if we don't truly understand that, because honestly, what do we do as consumers, as prospects or as customers ourselves? We typically tend to hold our cards close to our vest. We may we may mislead, we may lie as consumers, and it's to protect ourselves against salespeople. And when we allow our prospects to do that, and when we create a situation that allows them to perform that way, then we're not doing them the justice that they deserve. So if we understand where they are today, where they want to go, and that gap, can we fill that gap with our product or service? Number one. If we
Right.
can't, it's unethical for us to continue.
Yeah, why would
And
we
if we
waste their
can,
time?
right. And if we can, it's unethical for us to not continue, right? And so when I say continue, it means walking through the process, not convincing, not cajoling, not spilling our candy in the lobby, throwing our features and benefits on them, but really understanding that they have a problem that we can solve. Does it make sense to would it make sense now to talk about investment, about budget, what that might, the time, the money, the resources that might go into fixing that problem.
Right.
And if they are willing and able to invest, then maybe it's time to talk about how do they make decisions? What is their process by which they make decisions? And can I live with that as the hopefully the trusted advisor? Can I live with their decision process? If I
Yeah.
can, I disqualify them.
Right.
If I
Because you know what?
can, then we move on.
Because in Sandler, the salesperson counts, right? It's that's what I liked about it is sales was really difficult, even though I was successful at it. At what cost, right? And it was demoralizing, and it was, you really felt like you were at someone else's, you know, convenience most of the time, or that you were being interruptive, or that, but even though you did close enough deals to make you keep doing it, there really is a better way. And you started at the beginning of that long rant. No, I'm just teasing. It was good. You mentioned something about the defensive. We have this defense, and I've written about this in the past, where everybody has a defense shields that they put up as soon as they perceive that they're being sold to, right? And there's certain things that we do that, I think one of your lists here is sounding like salespeople. There's a whole bunch of behaviors and things that are said and tone that send that message immediately, and the shields go up, right? Now you're in a defensive situation and you react to it by trying to convince, right? And if you find, I always say, if you're convincing, you're probably losing that sale, okay? So it's more like being a partner in solving a problem. Now, that's not different from the book Consultative Selling. That's consultative selling in a nutshell. However, there's I think one difference. And I actually have trouble with this sometimes. I like to have an initial conversation with somebody just to find out if I'm a match. Because I actually don't have anything to sell yet, because I don't even know what your problem is, or if I even do that,
Yeah.
Maybe you need some rhinoplasty, right? I'm a marketing guy. I don't work on noses. I don't know, right? But until we have a short conversation, and it's really to respect their schedule and my schedule and everybody's time, let's figure the basic, do I even like you, right? Let me tell you, Frank, if I don't like you, I'm not going to work for you. I don't care how much money you
Right.
have, right? So that's part of it.
Right.
But people misunderstand. Really, if you reach out to somebody and you want to, or they reach out to you, let's say they're an incoming lead, and you suggest, hey, let's just have a conversation first. We'll see if it makes sense to talk. You tell them all this good, things, but they
Yeah.
still show up expecting you to sell to them.
Pete, I don't know if I'm a good fit for you or not. Maybe it makes sense for you and I to have a brief conversation to see if maybe kind of where you're trying to go, if I can help you get there, or if I can't help you get there. Are you okay if I tell you no, that I can't?
Yeah, I am totally
And
comfortable with that. But you know what? Tell me what pitch me, Frank.
yeah, well,
How are you
yeah,
gonna how are you gonna solve a friggin' problem, me?
I may not be the right guy for you, Pete. If we don't have an opportunity to really kind of understand where you're trying to go, and we can't get there, and we can't come together on on discovering that, I'm probably not your guy.
Exactly. So that's taking control. It's using the only power that you really have is to say no. And with Sandler, now with traditional selling, it's a technique, right? It's the old, well, I'm going to pack my stuff up and I'm going to walk out the door and you're going to call me back, right? No, we're not kidding. We're ready to move on to the next opportunity. Now, but the thing is,
you've got to treat, Pete, you've got to treat every opportunity as if you don't truly need it. You've got $1 million in your pocket. You don't need the deal. And if that's not your attitude, but that's your mentality around the thing. Look, Pete, you've got to convince me that we need to do business together. What I'm trying to do is create an environment where I allow you to convince me that that you need to buy from me while I stay the heck out of your way.
Absolutely. And I think that defense, that cynicism that's so entrenched, it's really because of a lot of bad salespeople. And even though you might set that, what we call the upfront contract about what the call is about and how you introduce the call, that expectation for being sold is so heavy. And it's a weird thing because it's kind of a dichotomy where they're saying sell me, but they're also trying to control you, right? And it's like, but I if somebody were truly that set in their ways, then I would just say very politely, not a match. But can I share a story?
Please.
I had a prospect. He's a very, very wealthy guy, numbered in the top 5 in his country, and he owns a lot of different companies. And he wanted to talk to me, and I talked to one of my advocates on the inside of the company, and he said, "Here's how it's going to go. He's going to ask you a lot of questions, and he's going to expect short, concise answers." And I said, "Well, that call's probably not going to go very well then, because I ask the questions, but that was exactly what was going on. Is he was sort of like, in his perception is I was coming to them with my hat out, my hand out. I was actually coming to see, are you even worthy of my time? That was what I was looking for, because I still to this day have no idea what they wanted. Because the call didn't go very well.
And you probably have there's 100 people in line that would have left them with a quote.
Oh, absolutely, they wanted one.
Had no idea what even though nobody had any idea what he wanted. Oh, well, I'll quote you. I'll send you a quote.
It's funny and painful because, first of all, painful to me because absolutely I could have changed this company's life. All right, but we got along pretty well, and they gave me some information, and I actually had a lot of information because I did research on them, and they were actually surprised. They're like, "How do you know this stuff?" Like, people pay me to know this stuff. And so I'd done my homework. They had done zero, and we agreed to take a next step, which would be a very short call to get into the detail a little bit about what it is they want. Because, of course, he was late. He showed up late. He left early. And I remember I called you, and I'm like, where did we go wrong here? And you said, you should have rescheduled that call right away. Right? And I should have. But then they ended up not having that second call, but still wanted a proposal. And I'm like, honestly, we had a nice chat for 15 minutes, but I have no idea what you actually want. But it was this idea that, how do you put it? I mean, I'm going to pitch like in Mad Men days, right? I'm going to be like, here's what maybe have some cards that I hold up with a drawing on them, right? No, that's not how it works. So anyway, am I seeing it clearly there?
Yeah.
I mean, I did something wrong in the sales process, right? I screwed myself, and it was right at the beginning where I should have not accommodated this guy's schedule or whatever, right?
So you kind of knew his personality, you kind of knew a little bit about him going in, and anticipating, so here's what it is. It's pre-deciding what you're going to do when something happens. So it's understanding what's in your toolbox. It's understanding what's in your playbook. Guy walks, you got a 1 hour meeting schedule, you got a 30-minute meeting schedule. He walks in 15 minutes late and says, "Okay, sorry I'm late. hey, we got 15 minutes, go. And you say, you know what, I really appreciate that, Pete. There's no way we're going to be able to cover everything we need to cover in the next 15 minutes. Why don't you tell me what's the most important thing that we could cover in the next 10 minutes, and I'll do my best to kind of walk through that process, and then we'll save the last 5 minutes to reschedule another meeting, or if it makes sense to just reschedule, let's do now.
I like that. See, I didn't think of getting a little piece of information. I immediately went to basically Pure Sandler and being like, hey, by the way, Pure Sandler doesn't work as well. You really have to internalize this methodology and make it your own using basically these principles. Weaponize it. Yeah, you don't want to be weaponizing towards your prospects for sure.
So when you say what is the most important thing that you need to hear from me to make this next 10 minutes valuable to you, that shows a ton of respect. Yeah. But it also maintains control of the process. I am not here to dump features and benefits on you in rapid fire in 10 minutes so that you can compare me against everybody else out there and never call me and then ghost me. I'm not doing that.
My sales trainer, Amy Harden, rest her soul, she was amazing. And she used to talk about that sort of dynamic where she would say, they're playing a game called Guess What's in My Head. Right? And if you guess right, you might get the privilege of writing some long-ass proposal. And it's like, that always stuck with me. It's like, no, I ain't playing Let's Guess What's in Your Head. Because I've been in business a long time, and there's like a crazy circus going on in your head, buddy.
I'll date us here. Only Kreskin can do that.
Kreskin. I'm looking for an envelope. Most of the younger people have no idea what's going on right now.
Well, that's Karnak.
Oh, wait, I even got it wrong. That's Karnak. That's right. No. Kreskin was much worse. Oh, my. I'm 60, so, I know both of those. Anyway, I try to rip on the young people, right? And I rip on myself. I love it. How podcast hosts screw themselves. They push the wrong buttons. Listen, let's keep to this list here. And by the way, we do this every Thursday, and you gave me a great idea. I want to have you back on, and we're going to role play. I think we should have a whole half hour of role playing, like where, let's see, what would make the most sense? I'm the sales guy and you're the prospect, or vice versa. Maybe that would be fun. I would love to do that, or vice versa. Trying to convince or explain, applying pressure. Okay. Listen, buddy, I got 10 more people who want to buy this truck. Coming in about 15 minutes.
Slimy.
Right?
Slimy.
I always think or 10 people, are they arriving all at the same time?
Yeah. Price goes up Friday at closing time. Alternative choice closes. All of these different things.
Thermometer close.
Thermometer. Everything out there. Yeah, there's so many dumb ideas out there, and you can go out and find books on, 101 closing tactics and all these things. All it does is puts pressure on the prospect, it puts pressure on the salesperson, and it's no good for either of us. If there's any pressure, the pressure needs to be the pressure for them to convince you as a salesperson that this makes sense to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in some of what we're trying to do is really, I mean, to me it always comes down to, I don't want to waste their time, and honestly, I don't have the time to waste, okay? There's way more people that want to talk to me, in a given month than I can actually talk to. And so, but at the same time, I want to talk to people. I really enjoy it. It's not just because maybe they'll hire me, but maybe I can actually do something for them, but it's really just a logistical thing. So Dan Klopp says, amen, I hate playing guess what I'm thinking. Yes, I do too. Dennis Madden says, go ahead.
Mutual mystification. It's the Salem rule is no mind reading and no mutual mystification.
Mutual mystification. Make sure you say that carefully or you'll be in trouble with the censors. Dennis says, great topic. No one likes being sold, and the gig of overcoming objections is over. Now, this goes back to truly qualifying, because if you're really doing a good job of qualifying, you're actually hitting those possible objections before they come up. See, this is the brilliance of David Sandler, right? Instead of trying to avoid or counter, right? Grab it head on. Honesty.
So Pete, my biggest fear is at the end of our conversation today, you're going to look at me and you're going to say, Frank, this has been amazing. I appreciate you coming in. I appreciate you sharing your information with us. This looks really good. Let me get back to you. So we're going to be a good, strong maybe. Pete, if that happens, can I share with you my experience around that? And that's a universal yes question. They will always say yes. Pete, when I hear that, it's almost always just a polite no. So if we get to that, are you okay if we just call it a no and part as friends? Otherwise,
I'm not sure.
So out of role play, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to run back and I'm going to say, boss, I got one. I speared one. Put this one. This one's going to happen.
Oh, right.
Stick it in my CRM. It's going to be in my projection, and it might sit there for years because we just took a maybe from a prospect. We did not. They were not totally convinced that we need to hurry up and do business with them because it's in their best interest to start now. And we screwed ourselves.
So when we're role playing, the customer in this case smokes. That's why I was doing that. And he might have a New York accent. I don't know, but I was going to answer. But, I think this idea is when you do these things and you're not pulling the ninja moves and you're being really straightforward about it. And you said, hey, this is my fear, and then you describe actually a pretty common scenario, but you're sending a pretty strong message too, aren't you?
Yeah, we're not going to take your stalls and objections, and we're going to look. So another thing, Sam.
And it's okay. It's okay, yeah. Right?
Hey, if there's a bomb in the room, let's put it on the table and let's defuse it right now. Let's figure this out early rather than later. Because look, as a salesperson, you're going to find out what the stalls and objections are. You're going to find out the things that you didn't find out by not working your process in the end, and you're going to find out because they're going to tell you, this is fantastic, this is amazing, call me back next Tuesday, ring, ring, hi, this is Pete, sorry I couldn't take your call, and you're going to get that for the next 6 months until you either give up or until they block you or until they answer the call and say, no, we already bought from somebody else.
Well, let's talk about why that is psychologically, right? So people we're kind of raised to not be rude. People don't want to say no. No, I know a lot of people that'll be like, no, crush the heart, no problem, right? Other people are actually surprised that you're saying, look, it's okay to say no. If you don't think we're a match at some point during this conversation, totally cool to say no. In fact, here's the language I like to use. I'm going to extend to you the same courtesy. Are you comfortable with that? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Right? And when you do it this way, there's this side benefit that happens, and it's that you're automatically setting yourself apart from everyone else that they're talking to. Because the other variation of this would be, let's do that role play once again. And by the way, the board was going to meet and they had to reschedule, so I don't have nothing to tell you at this point. I don't, but if we were to do that again and take it the other way, I'm trying to think of how that would go. Where you do end up with a let me think about it, or the person seems kind of uncomfortable that you're like, a lot of people say, I'm sorry, I'm trying to formulate this idea. A lot of people think it's kind of weird that a salesperson is saying that it's okay to say no. It kind of takes them off guard. They're like, what?
Yeah.
What?
It's counterintuitive, and I think that my feeling is what I have experienced is that it actually builds trust.
Absolutely.
It's different. It feels different than the other salespeople that are banging on them to get this deal. It feels different. It's a pattern interrupt. It causes them to say, why would he tell me that it's okay to not buy from him?
Right. Well,
and it sets you apart. It decommoditizes you as a salesperson.
Well,
otherwise,
and so
you're just like everyone else.
Right, because everybody else is doing this. Hey, great, let's write that up. Oh, it's okay. You don't have a very good idea of what you want. Hey, no problem. Let me write a proposal for you. Right? That's what everybody else is doing. Now, I talk about this on the show all the time. If somebody has met with you like for an hour or maybe even 2 hours and they've come back with a comprehensive, proposal of how they're going to solve your problems, run away from that person or that firm, because there's no way that you can do that. Business is too complex, markets are too complex. It takes a fair investment of time to really understand what is going to be, when it comes to marketing and sales process, what is going to work. But companies have this stuff templated out, and they're, I love that you talk about, they're going back to their sales manager and that, man, we got another one, put it in the hopper. And in the hopper, 90% of them are what we call hopium. It's just pure hope. They said, it's like Dumb and Dumber, where he's like, what chance out of a million do I have with you? And she's like, maybe one out of a million. So I have a chance, right?
So you're saying I have a chance.
So you're saying I have a chance, exactly.
Yeah, I love it. Pete, if we follow the process and if we stay focused on their needs, then we should, through our questioning process, we should uncover all of the stalls and objections prior to us doing anything that even resembles a presentation or a proposal, so that we've got that out of the way. So how do we get there? They say, hey, look, I need a quote from you. No, I totally appreciate that. Can I share with you my experience? At this point, at this stage in the game, with what little I know about what your needs are and kind of what is most important to you, my experience is that when I send you a quote, maybe 15-20% of the time, I'm going to hit the nail on the head, and it's going to be the right thing, and we're going to move forward. However, if you and I work together and we co-create a solution, my experience is that we're right on 100% of the time. The right solution, the right price, the right delivery, everything is lined up.
Right.
Why don't we do that instead?
And what a straightforward way of saying it, right? No, there's nothing to parse there. There's no technique being played on them, or, I also, at some point here in the near future, I'm going to do an episode about the emails that I get, the cold emails, and
oh, Lord. And
it's just off the charts, but it almost is like a transcription of bad sales, it's pretty wild. I would encourage, if you're, in the Fort Worth area or really wherever you are in the country, if you feel like you're having a hard time, look up your local Sandler trainer. I think you're going to be surprised. I think for me, one of the big revelations was that the buyer has a process, and they might know that they have a process. Let's say a professional procurement person, which if I find out you're that, I'm out. But they have they've been trained. And then there's people, we do it very naturally. And I think one example is, my wife and I used to love to go down to the BMW Mercedes dealer in Glendale, Wisconsin, and on the early evening walks, and we'd take our dogs, our German Shepherd dogs, and we would go around and we'd walk around the cars. Believe it or not, there was usually a salesperson lurking around, and they would say, hey, can I help you? And we'd immediately be like, no. Just looking. Now, in this case, we were just looking, but maybe not, right? I did buy a Corvette once, cash, but that is just natural, right? It could be, so what? You're people that wander around car lots? In this case, we're a little odd, but most of the time, no, they're there for a reason, right? And like these things that we're talking about, if you're being absolutely honest, and you're being very, very open about your own motivations and why you're there, and you're respecting them, and you're asking permission, and you mean it, okay? You gotta mean it. These defenses don't go up. It's remarkable. That was the big thing that caught me when I was a fairly successful salesperson, out of necessity. It's not like I signed up for it, right? We had a marketing firm, was growing fast, and somebody had to do sales, right? It was this idea that I didn't realize there was a process being played, and I was being completely reactive every step of the way. I was reacting to what the prospect wanted, right? And so they would say, jump through this hoop. I would jump through that hoop. They'd say, follow up in 2 weeks. I'd follow up in 2 weeks. My life was shit, right? Because I'm spending all my time following up people never going to buy. I'm believing my own hopium, right? Man, I'm mainlining the hopium, you know, and it was brutal. And so that was a big difference for me, where it's like using transparency and respect the way that you would want to be treated, and being very authentic in your, you know, in that you want the best thing for the client.
Amen.
It is a powerful thing, and it made my life better. But you know what? It makes the client's life better, because if you're not right, you're not going to waste their time, right?
Yeah,
You're not going to sell them something they don't need. Even if you're broke, by the way, this whole thing about, you know, telling me no, it is independent of what your wallet says that day.
Yeah.
How many places will do that?
True. So Pete, at the end of the day, I hate that term, but you know, at the end of the conversation, you'll find out if you presented to the wrong thing, the wrong issue. You'll find out if they weren't willing and able to invest. You'll find out if there was somebody else involved that you didn't discover in the decision process. You'll find that stuff out. Why not? And those people that find that out at the end are these sales artists. Look, for probably 30-ish years, I believed sales was an art. It was the art of sales, and I was the Picasso in sales. I closed a ton of business. I learned the hard way how to do a lot of stuff. That doesn't mean that you can't succeed in sales without a good scientific process. What it means is that there's an easier way to do it. If you can meld the two together, if you can learn some things, if you can apply some science, if you can apply a process to what it is that you're doing, then it raises the likelihood of you discovering those things, understanding those things before you get to that ghosting moment where you just, you know, they go into the customer witness protection program and you never see them again.
Well, and there's this idea that the customer controls the buying cycle, the length of it, right? Well, Sandler taught me that no, I actually have a lot of control over how long that process is. And it has to do with me having a good solid process, setting the agenda. How many times have you sat down in a sales call in a non-Sandler environment and no one sets an agenda for the call? 100% of the time. So guess what Sandler teaches? We set the agenda, right? And so in my case, you know, I'm going to attempt to do this. Sometimes it takes a couple of calls, but I'm going to attempt to get all of that basic in or out, no go or no go. I'm going to give them permission to say no in 45 minutes. Now, you know, that's pretty ambitious, right? But I try that. And that's why we say getting to know faster, because boy, it sucks 6 months later finding out they never were actually buying at all.
Yeah.
They were shopping, they were looking for free consulting.
Pete, I had this happen twice to me this week. Referrals. I got a referral. Everybody loves referrals, right? Get a referral, have that initial conversation. Everything looks good. We set a clear next step. The next step is I've got a 10-question survey. You fill that out, send that back to me. Then we will get on a deep dive call. We'll walk through the issues that are most important to you. If it makes sense, we'll figure out what the budget is, what the investment looks like, time, energy, resources, money. We'll figure out how you make decisions like this. By the time we're done, you and I will both have a super clear picture as to what the next step is. Maybe it means we do some assessments. Maybe it means we engage in some training. Whatever it is, it is. And you know what? No is my second favorite answer. If it's a no, then Absolutely. We may find out in the first 15 minutes. We may find out halfway through. We may find out at the end. But no is okay. And if you don't have that agreement, if you don't have that upfront agreement as to the way things are going to go, people are on guard. They feel like you're going to come in and sales guide them.
Right.
And if we don't have that agenda, if we don't set all that, if we don't have those expectations with a clear set of expectations at the very end, then we screw ourselves as salespeople.
Well,
and it happens every day. It
all
happens
the time.
I get people that book appointments with me. I'll take an appointment. and because I learned from their screw ups.
Absolutely. And I don't even mind taking appointments with people because the worst case scenario for me is I have a new colleague, right? I mean, it just can't go wrong. Um, but I think this tool set, I think the hardest part about Sandler is, and it takes some time to really internalize the method, and that's why, you have like ongoing. It's not like read a book, go to a seminar, you're ready to go. It is a process, and I think it's because you have to get to the point where, let's say you have a similar script to set up the agenda for the meeting, you need to mean it from the bottom of your soul, every word of it. Like you're not trying to manipulate them. You're telling them this is how it is. I actually have an FAQ on my website that tells people how it is. And so if they don't want to work with me, hey, perfectly cool. Here's a whole list of other people you can go work with.
Love it.
And it's just a sincerity that if you've been selling traditionally for a long time, it's a challenge to master it. I think still after 15 years, I still haven't mastered it. I mean, it's that big of a deal. And I don't want to scare
You're
people off.
a lifelong learner, brother.
Well, I don't want to scare people off, but here, let me grab something real quick. This is the manual.
Hey, we
Worth every penny.
We now work with the modern seller,
There's
and
no manual.
and we kill much fewer trees today.
Yeah, you can tell how long I've been studying Sandler because I have the friggin' binder. Oh, I also have this. Look at this. A guy pulled this out for you. Do you recognize this?
Oh yeah.
With the plastic. Mine are stuck together though.
That was called the appointment getter.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, I appreciate you coming on today, and there's so much that we could talk about. I think we should do this on a fairly regular basis. And look, even if nobody hires you and nobody hires me, if we could do the greater sales universe a favor, and especially a favor to prospects, people get real, get honest, do the right thing. Don't just go there for the money. Go there to change their world, change their life. And if you can't, walk away.
Yeah.
I think in the marketing industry, it's a big problem.
In the grand scheme of things, Pete, if we sell like everybody else sells, then we deserve the treatment that our prospects give us. We bring. Can I say we bring that shit on ourselves? Can I say that?
We do occasionally swear on the show. It is not a family-friendly show.
We bring that stuff on ourselves, man. And if you want to be different, you got to do something different. And with me, it's all about, hey, let's have a conversation to see if it makes sense for us to have another conversation. It is never about pitching. It's never about closing a deal. It's never about pressure, and it can't be. Because guess what? All of my competitors out there, that's what they do. All of your competitors out there, that's what they do.
It's exactly what they
different.
The truth is, and we're going a little long, but I'm just going to roll with this because I think this is great. Maybe we edit this into two pieces, but I think it's just so good. One of my axes that I frequently grind is that let's say someone self-diagnoses their sales problem, right? They decide that if they just had, it's easier for me to use marketing. So in the marketing world, it'll be, we need a new website. That's going to solve our problem. So what do? They go to a web developer. And they're like, hey, web developer, we need a new website. What do you think that guy's going to say? Fantastic. Sure. I completely agree. It's going to change your life. Now, what that person should say is, I'm not saying it's, you should just automatically say no. No, you should say, great, understand what you're looking for. Can you tell me a little bit about what's driving that decision? And you know why they don't say that? They're afraid to lose the sale. Yeah. Or they say, we want a website, but we only have $500. Dude's like, there's no way, but it's $500. We could use that in our revenue. And so it pisses me off, really. But that's why I gravitated towards this method and put so much effort into learning it and continue to learn it, is because none of that is going to fly. And it's why you lose deals. You talk yourself out of deals. One of your other one was presenting solution to the wrong problem. The old Sandler would say painting seagulls into the picture. I'm not going to even attempt to explain that one, but But
Yeah.
you're selling the wrong thing because, going back to rule number 1, you didn't truly qualify them. You see how it all fits together? Am I getting it?
You're getting it.
Do I understand it? You know, we gotta role play stupid closing tactics. Let's play some stupid closing tactics. So, you know, I'm the client. Lay on your stupidest closing tactic, just for fun. We'll wind up the show on this. Let me get my cigarette.
Oh God. You know, I don't use them, but I've got to know them. Right?
I know it's hard.
Pete,
So,
Pete, if we can do that, Pete,
yeah.
will you sign today? Will you sign today, Pete? If we can accomplish that for you, are you ready to sign today?
No, of course not. I gotta ask my friggin' wife in order to spend the money. And you didn't ask me about that before. So, surprise on you.
Yeah. Hey, and I deserve what I got. I deserve that.
Right.
Yeah.
Between a 1 and a 10, how likely are you to buy today? Well, then I'm always like, so, is 1 good or is 1 bad? I don't know. I'm a 5. I'm a strong 5. I love this. Can you tell that I love this?
I can tell you love it, Pete. You love life, dude. That's what I like.
I love
you.
selling. I like selling honestly. I like solving people's problems for real instead of just taking their money. That's the thing. And that's what this show is all about. That's why we do it every Thursday. We're committed to doing it and hopefully helping you make better decisions. We're telling the truth. We're not blowing smoke up your arse. And so, man, I really appreciate you coming on, and let's do this again. Let's see if I can roll the show out professionally this time without showing any odd, weird stuff on the screen. First, we'll start the Tell the Truth theme music, which I think is awesome. You can't hear it, but you will later when you see the program. And thank you very much. Look Frank up. We'll put his link up in the post, and you can also subscribe on YouTube and get our content every single week. So, thanks, Frank. More to come.
Thanks, Pete.
If you'll just stand by, we'll talk after we get out of here.